What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a great day so far. It is time now for the Sunday weather update for Sunday, November 17th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, you just clicked on to today's weather update, where I will discuss all of the weather happenings in the United States, and we will start off with our daily headline, which today takes us internationally to the Philippines. Yes, something historical has happened there. And of course, we'll talk about the upcoming weather for the next week. And yes, we're talking about an unsettled pattern still in the northwest, and maybe now an unsettled pattern in the northeast as well, with below average temperatures. The modeling is getting rather impressive with how long temperatures may stay below average now, which is kind of going against what the Climate Prediction Center has been saying. We'll give you all that and the details on today's severe weather, which just got upgraded to an enhanced risk, as I had expected. So if you're new here, subscribe down below. If you enjoyed this video today, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out in the YouTube algorithm. It tells YouTube, hey, people like this video. Let's push it out to more people. And then, of course, leave your comments down below. Hit that notification bell and share this video with anyone you know. The more people you share with, the more the word gets out that, hey, there's someone out there doing low-hyped weather forecasts. I don't like to do big hype. I like to give you low-hyped forecasts and keep you prepared for what's coming. Alright, starting off with this in the Philippines, Nahel Belgerst tweeted out this loop from satellite imagery showing what has happened over just a span of 10 days. There have been not one, not two, not three, but 4 different typhoons have hit the Philippines. There goes one, there goes two, there goes 3, and here comes the 4th one. Just absolutely incredible what has happened there, and I don't think this has ever happened before. And he even said so too. He can't not recall ever seeing this before, and it's actually become a whole entire topic on X. And I did see one of the posts say that this is the first time in history this has happened. Yes, here's one right here. First time in recorded history. I mean, look at these storms that have hit the Philippines. This is quite historical, and it just shows how active things can become all suddenly with the way things are these days. It's just what weather is doing anymore. Partly climate change, partly weather being weather. I mean, you make your own conclusion, but that is just remarkable to see 4 storms like that hit just within 10 days of each other. Alright, taking a look at the United States satellite loop, you can see we're a little bit later with our update today because in the eastern United States, the sun is starting to set. Also, you can see in Texas at this time, we do have ongoing showers and thunderstorms. Yes, that's going to be quite the active area this evening. We do have a storm system that continues in the Pacific Northwest. I'll show you that on radar. Just some showers in Texas right now. There was some heavier showers across Houston earlier. They have lifted to the north, and a severe weather threat should get going over probably the next several hours. Probably in the later evening time frame is when the severe weather threat will get going there. And we can see here, rain is in the Pacific Northwest, some of it being heavy, some of it being mountain snows. And get used to this, because you're going to have pretty much lower elevation rain and mountain snows pretty much on and off for the next week, maybe longer. I mean, there'll be times where it's not as intense, but then midweek, a big storm system is going to come impact you. Alright, quite a few things today on the National Hazards Map. As you can see here, quite a few hazards and warnings and watches are being listed. Quiet in the east right now, but you do see wind advisories in the central region. Also, flood watches are now up for portions of Texas and Oklahoma, and you can see our wintry mess in the Pacific Northwest, the mountain region of Oregon, even California now, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, are all expecting higher elevation, heavy snows will occur in these areas, and this is just for the current system. Mind you, there's going to be systems throughout the week. The next big one is coming in on Wednesday. Now taking a look at what is left of Sarah, and it is now downgraded to a tropical depression. We can see minimum pressure 1003 millibars, maximum sustained winds 35 miles per hour. It is over Central America, Yucatan Peninsula, and yeah, it is really weakening here is what's left of it at this time. Just a whole bunch of unorganized mess. There are some thunderstorms with this at this time. Speaking of thunderstorms, we do now have an enhanced risk of severe weather today across portions of Texas, and that does include Wichita Falls, Fort Still, Oklahoma. Yes, some of this goes into Oklahoma as well. And then there is a large slight risk around that, and Midland, Texas is in slight risk. Tornado 5%, wind 30%, hail is still below 5% in all areas, but I did think as of yesterday that they would have to do this upgrade, and here we go. They did do the upgrade to an enhanced risk. There is also a day 2 slight risk, which includes Dallas, Waco, and Fort Still, Oklahoma, once again, and that is for isolated tornado threat, wind, and even a small hail threat tomorrow as well, unlike today where there is less than 5% hail threat. Then on Tuesday, we do see New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama. You are in a marginal risk. Would not be surprised if this gets upgraded to a slight risk. I think there could be a few waterspouts along the coast, and maybe even a few inland isolated tornadoes, as energy from whatever is left of Sarah at that point does get ejected into the cold front. Let's take a look at the latest HRRR that just came in. Here is the 18Z run, and we can see there's that heavier shower activity that went north of Houston earlier, and we can see as we get into the overnight hours, showers and thunderstorms will increase, and thunderstorms will get going. These individual cells need to be watched. That's where there could be isolated tornadoes. Let's take this down to the central view, and we can see here some of these individual cells out ahead of the main activity. That's what we have to watch. But then we do see this squall line gets going. That's where the wind threat will come into play, and it does look like it will be bowing as it heads east towards the Dallas area tomorrow, and it probably should hit the Dallas area maybe around midday. It could come rather early, and once that pushes through, things will get quieter for you. But look what happens as we head into Tuesday. Here comes that leftover energy from Sarah, some moisture with that. You can see it gets ejected into the front, and you do see a lot of individualized cells, and any of those individualized cells could potentially have some rotation, which means there is the potential threat for severe weather. That does continue to the Florida Panhandle, but there's something else that you need to be mindful of. Let's go to accumulated precipitation. Couple things to point out here. First off, some heavier precipitation amounts are likely across central and northern Texas, central Oklahoma, and even up into Kansas as well. Then along the Florida Panhandle to southern Alabama, Mississippi, will include Louisiana in this as well. Some of these cells that come on shore are going to have really high rainfall rates. I mean, 2 inches, 2.5 inches per hour, maybe even 3 inch per hour rainfall rates could be possible with these, because the precipitable water values within these cells is going to be really high. And let's reverse this for just a moment. Let's just click on the area, and I will show you what I am talking about in the sounding that it is going to show. See this where it says PWAT? When you're talking 2.5, that's really high. That means a lot of water can be unleashed from the atmosphere in a very short period of time. So flash flooding is definitely going to be possible in this area. Moving on now. Let's take a look at the latest from the Weather Prediction Center. Let's refresh this because they probably just did their afternoon update on this, and here's the precipitation for the next 1 through 7 days. And take a look here. They are going, you can see here, in western Florida, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, eastern portions of Louisiana. Yeah, you're seeing some orange starting to show up here. Locally 5 to 7 inches of rainfall. That's because of that heavy cells that could unleash a lot of water in a short period of time. You're also seeing now a 2 to 3 inch area of precipitation over the next 7 days. Mind you, this is all the next 7 days across portions of northern Texas. And then you're seeing a general 1 to 3 inches for portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, even western portions of Missouri, up to 1.5 inches for you, and southern portions of Nebraska. Then we come to the west coast, and look at northern California. Look at these yellows. Yeah, anywhere in these yellows and even golden color, that's over 10 inches of rainfall. And you even see, if you look really close, 15 plus inch amounts. Yes, that's because of all these The parade of storm systems, as I called it yesterday, will just continue to come. There's going to be a little bit of a lull. There'll still be showers over the next couple of days. And then around the middle of the week sometime, a really strong storm system is going to be off in the Pacific. It's not actually going to landfall there, but the moisture, the wind, it's all coming for you. And yeah, look at those precipitation amounts. Now translate some of that, not all of it, some of that to snow in higher elevations. Snow levels will drop from times, so yeah, you will be talking about a ton of mountain snows as well. It'll be measured in feet, not inches, up there for the next week or so. Alright, let's take a look at the latest NAM, and we will use the 12Z NAM. The 18Z NAM is just coming in now, and you can see here on the NAM, there's our thunderstorm and rain threat in Texas for tonight, and here's the West Coast. I want you to pay close attention to that. We can see on the West Coast, there will be this big storm system. By Tuesday evening, it's already approaching. Then as we head into overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, it really just keeps on going. You can see here, look at Northern California. You get into one of those fetches that just really dumps a lot of precipitation. And of course, the NAM ends at 84 hours. And you can see here, already at that point, widespread 2 to 4, even localized 5-inch precipitation amounts. And the NAM for the southeast, Florida, it is showing there locally 5+ or 6+ inches of rainfall. Again, short period of time, a lot of water will be unleashed. Not a lot happens in the Northeast just yet. We have to go onto the GFS for that. But before we do that, we do go back to the Weather Prediction Center, because in the Northeast we can see more precipitation is showing up. That's because there's going to be an upper level storm system, perhaps maybe even some sort of a transferring coastal system of some sort that sets up, and that's really going to park itself over the Northeast inland, and it's going to keep temperatures below average. Things are going to be unsettled, rain, maybe even some mountain snows for New England as well. Alright, here's the 12Z GFS, and we can see here, as I advance this, as we come into the middle of the week, come into about Tuesday, here's that storm threat over western Florida. You can see here, if the GFS is showing precipitation amounts like that, you know there is a threat of heavier precipitation. And watch what happens here. I'm going to switch this to the upper level pattern, and you can see this upper level system really gets going over the Great Lakes, and it makes its way into the Northeast, and you can see, look what happens. It pretty much just parks itself over New England, and then more energy comes behind it. So we're talking about this upper level system that's going to stay intact from later in the week all the way through just about all of next weekend. And you can see behind that, there is already another shot of cooler air that would come in. Let's take things back to the surface, and I will show you what happens at the surface on the GFS. Mind you, there's other models, and I'm going to show you one of the other models in a moment. So you get this area of low pressure that develops over the Great Lakes, but it starts to weaken, and it tries to transfer its energy, some of its energy, to a new low somewhere over southern New England, or it could even form even further southwest if you go by the Canadian model. Here's the Canadian model. Remember a few days ago the Canadian was showing this huge coastal system, and we thought, well, that may not happen. But what could happen is an energy transfer could occur to a new low, and then that low would end up going over land, and either way, it's going to get stuck. You can see these blue on the map. That's colder than average temperatures for this time of year. When I show you the temperatures, you can see here. Here's a very early Friday morning, and watch what happens in the afternoon. Yeah, you're seeing across Pennsylvania 30s underneath that upper level low. That's a lot different than what the Climate Prediction Center was calling for. That is not slightly above average temperatures. That's slightly below average temperatures by the time we get to that point. And going back to the precipitation map, we will finish things out on the Canadian. Look what happens. That storm system just sits there for a long period of time. Something else I have to show you that is on the Canadian. Let's go to the Pacific Northwest, and look at this. Yes, that fetch of moisture, it continues right on through to the end of the run. We're at hour 156. There's yet another storm system in the Northwest. Look what happens. You get this upper level system that sits there. Finally, by the end of the run, we're not seeing big storms, but we're not seeing dry weather either. We're still seeing clouds, showers, mountain snow showers. I mean, this is going to be one heck of a pattern there. And then at the end of the run in the Northeast, you can see here, as we're now closer to Thanksgiving at this point. This would be or the big travel day before Thanksgiving. Actually, Tuesday's probably the bigger travel day nowadays. Wednesday's Friendsgiving. And you can see here, things finally do at that point get quieter in the Northeast. But I'm telling you, once we get to the later part of this upcoming week in the Northeast, it is just going to be cloudy, showery, mountain snow showers. There'll probably be some accumulation across the White Mountains and the Green Mountains, maybe even portions of the Adirondacks. Yes, you could see some fresh snow cover from that upper level system that will potentially develop a new low. It's called a Miller B. It will transfer to a new low somewhere around Long Island or Connecticut. That will track over inland, but it's not going to move all that fast. So we're going to be dealing with this for the second half of the week. So both the Northwest and the Northeast, unsettled times ahead. But hey, say you don't live there. Say you live in the southern portions of the United States. Well, aside from that threat that's going to come into Texas tonight and that threat that's going to come into Florida tomorrow, things are actually looking rather quiet for you once that pattern comes in. I mean, we will see some windy conditions because this system, even the Northeast, it's going to be very windy much of the week. But look at this in the South. You can see quiet and dry. And maybe near average temperatures is what I would go with at this time. Maybe once you get around northern Georgia, South Carolina, then you could start to see slightly below average temperatures. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's weather update. We will have another weather update probably either again tomorrow or on Tuesday. We may give it a day off tomorrow. We'll just see how my day goes. And, of course, you can follow me over on Blue Sky at Climate Data Report. You can also follow me over on X at Climate Data RPT. They wouldn't let me put the whole thing in there, so I had to abbreviate it. If you enjoyed this video, maybe I talked about your area. If I didn't, I apologize. Maybe you learned something today, and maybe you feel like, I'm prepared for what the weather may be in the upcoming week. Well, then give this a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know, and of course, leave any questions and comments down below. Let me know how I'm doing. Am I doing okay? Or, hey, if I'm doing bad, let me know about that too. I'm always looking to improve. Thanks for watching. I will see you all again next time. Have a fantastic Sunday evening.